Caged, trapped, boxed, invisible. Those words may be used to describe how women felt during the 1950s and 60s in the United States. They were subjugated and had no control over their lives. If you really want to know when women's subjugation began in the US, you'd have to go all the way back to the first British colony. However, we'll focus on the recent centuries. In 1787, the U.S. Constitutional Convention placed voting qualifications in the hands of the states. With this, women were denied a voice in politics and society. It did not stop there. Subjugation was gaining momentum. For a brief period during the 1920s, it seemed like things were going to change. The women flappers. They were allowed to smoke, wear makeup, and to work in the 1920s. They opened the first successful birth control in 1923. What's more, in August 18, 1920, the 19th Amendment, where the U.S. Constitution granted American women the right to vote. Things were apparently starting to change. And then, what happened in 1939 shocked the world, but it also gave women the opportunity to realize how subjugated they had been. World War II had brought more women than ever before out of their homes into work. 23 million women worked for paid wages. But although 43% of women with school-aged children worked, they were nursery schools for only 2%. Women were 50% of the voters, but even by 1967 they held 4% of the state legislative seats and 2% of the judgeships. The median income of the working woman was about one-third that of the men, and attitudes towards women did not seem to have changed much in the 20s. This created problems for women, but it also made them realize that they could work just as well as men. It gave them a sense of restlessness. They wanted more. Women realized they were still trapped in a continuous cycle of subjugation. They were subjugated socially. They found that when men spoke frankly among themselves, they were likely to speak of women as creatures, pure and morally better than men, but as relatively impractical, emotional, unstable, given to prejudice, easily hurt, and largely incapable of facing facts or doing hard thinking. They were subjugated emotionally. The media represented women as perfect housewives, especially in TV and advertisements. In the rapidly growing world of television and advertising, men were often depicted as capable, assertive, and intelligent. I Love Lucy was a TV show about a New York housewife. It was all about these perfect housewives talking to each other about their husbands, which assumed that that's all women cared about. Another show, The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet, it moved to television and gave a vision of the perfect American household, a place where the wife knew her role as housemakers. In the television show, Leave It to Beaver, normal life seemed to be the focus. The use of emotional propaganda is seen in the way people feared that what would happen to the children if the mother was not at home to take care of them. All of these images and propaganda made women feel worthless. According to Betty Friedan on her groundbreaking article, Women Are People Too, published in 1963, for a woman to have such aspirations, interests, goals of her own, the experts keep telling them, impairs not only her ability to love her husband and children, but her ability to achieve her own sexual fulfillment. They felt empty. Just what was the problem that has no name? What were the words women used when they tried to express it? Sometimes a woman would say, I feel empty somehow, incomplete. Or she would say, I feel as if I don't exist. Sometimes a tired feeling. I get so angry with the children, it scares me. I feel like crying without any reason. Why was this happening to them? Why was life so unfair? Why? Women have always been seen as the weaker sex. There has always been this belief that women are not good enough to take over the male roles. Crossing of gender roles subverts woman's dedication to the home as she seeks, unsuccessful to take on the male role. To Farnham and Lundberg, women's inability to belong to either of the spheres led to discontent for both themselves and their husbands. Therefore, women should cleave to the exalted tasks of homemaking and child rearing and suppress any desire to become wage earners or professionals. This argument that places the blame for women's discontent, her prescribed feminine role, might seem incongruous with modern perceptions of happiness, but it was quite prevalent through the late 40s and 50s. But something had to be done, and something was done. The emotional and social subjugation of women that peaked during the 1950s and 60s gave rise to the movement known as the feminist revolution. This was the movement that sought to give a woman equal standing with men in every aspect of society. Some of the success of this movement can be seen in the following events. The 1960s, the Food and Drug Administration approves birth control pills. Women were finally free to take control of their sexual lives, not to be seen as simple mothers. In 1961, President John F. Kennedy establishes the President Commission on the States and the Status of Women and appoints Eleanor Roosevelt as chairwoman. The report issued by the Commission in 1963 documents substantial discrimination against women in the workplace and makes specific recommendations for improvement. In 1963, Betty Friedan published her highly influential book, The Feminine Mystic, which describes the dissatisfaction felt by middle-class American housewives. This book becomes a bestseller and galvanized the modern women's rights movement. And in 1963, the National Organization for Women is founded by a group of feminists, including Betty Friedan, the largest women's rights group in the U.S. These women did not stay silent. They spoke up for their rights and they accomplished their goals. This is the right way to respond to subjugation. Not to dwell in self-pity, but to rise up and fight for your rights, for your legacy.